The guy who made Twitter, Jack Dorsey, just dropped a tool called Buzz. It's Slack meets AI agents in one. It's free, it's open source, and you can use your existing subscriptions to use it. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to install it. I'm going to show you how to add agents to it. And in the end, I'm going to show you how to have two agents actually fight over what is the best solution to a problem. Now, I've been using this for the last few days, building different things with it, and I found it to be the most intuitive UI to actually use agents because, let's be clear, there's nothing you can do in Buzz that you couldn't do before. However, I think this is the easiest path to start using agents in a collaborative manner instead of having to duct tape different agents together. Without further ado, let's get into it. The way you access Buzz, you just go to buzz.xyz and then you're gonna see this website looks like this. It's very B oriented. Then all you gotta do is just press on get the app. And after that, it will start downloading. Once you've downloaded it, it'll open in the installer. Pretty simple. Just open it up, follow the wizards, and eventually you're gonna look at a screen. I'll click on this. You just move it around. And because I already have Buzz installed, I don't need to continue the rest of this. However, eventually you're gonna land on a screen that looks like this. Now, you're probably not gonna have as many agents as I do. You usually should only have Fizz, Honey, and Bumble. And the rest are actually agents that I created that now live in my workspace. So let's talk about the different things that we're looking at here. Firstly, if you've used Slack before, you may notice this looks super similar to it. That's kind of the vibe that they're going for. You'll have an inbox with all your notifications. You have your agents, which live here. If I click on inbox, I can see previous conversations that I've had. Like in this example, I was telling you, hey, look, I want to have a thumbnail for this video, and it would look like this style right here. Then you have the agents that you create, which we'll go over here in a sec. And below that, you have a bunch of different channels. Now, channels, all they really are different threads that you can talk to and you can invite people over. And the thing that differentiates Buzz from everything else is that you can easily bring in other agents inside. So in this case, I've got a couple different channels: content structure and writing. I've got content researcher, I've got general, thumbnail generation, travel planner, etc. And I'm going to use the travel planner as a starting point on how to actually use Buzz. So I have a brand new channel. It's completely empty. And I'm also alone in this workspace. I can bring other people in. And now for this video, I'm going to use this travel planner. I'm going to try to create an agent that can help me plan travel. If I just write in here, I'm planning a trip to Mexico, I'm not going to do anything because I haven't tagged the person who should reply. Now, I'm also alone in this workspace, which means the only other people in here are AI agents. So how do you tag them? If you just use the add symbol, it will give me every AI agent that I can interact with, right? I've got a bunch here, but none of these are travel oriented. So what we're going to do is actually create an agent and then add them here. I've got Fizz, Honey, and Bubble. These are the predefined agents within Buzz. If you want to see all of your agents, you click on the agent tab, and then let me open up Fizz, for example. So in this case, what Fizz does is if you click on the edit icon right here, you're going to see the name and then the agent instructions. It will say you are Fizz, an energetic maker who turns ideas into action. Be upbeat, practical, and decisive. Help users plan, create, solve problems, and finish work. And usually there's like a sentence in here that says, make some puns here and there. I just removed that because it wasn't super helpful for me. Now below that, you have the configuration. And this is what really makes Buzz cool, at least in my opinion, is you can use your existing subscriptions to Claude and Codex and use those models in Buzz without having to use the API, which is huge because you don't have to pay any more money for the models that you're already paying for. So in this case, I have AI configuration. I can press either use harness default or customize with this agent. And then when you choose this for the first time, it'll usually default to either no preference or Buzz agent. When you press on Claude Code, if you've never connected it, it'll tell you to essentially connect it to the CLI. Steps are pretty straightforward. You can also just go into settings and then go into agents. And then right here, you're going to see all different harnesses that you can use, right? So the Buzz agent harness, the Claude Code harness, the open code, Codex. Now, I don't use Codex or open code at the moment. Claude Code is the main one, and that's the one I connected. One button here, connect, and then it'll load for a second. It'll ask you to log into Claude Code, and then you'll be connected. Now that you know how to connect Claude Code to Fizz or Claude Code to Buzz, I can go back into my agents and can then press edit one more time, and then I can choose what model I want. In this case, I've got Opus, I've got Fable, I've got Sonnet, Haiku, etc. Now, you don't have all the customizations in the world. For example, temperature isn't here, although I don't know if Opus still uses temperature, but you don't have all the customizations. You can't change the effort level, stuff like that. So this software is being updated as time goes on. Keep that in mind. Parallelism, kind of a big word, but just means how many conversations can this agent have at a singular time. So is it one thread at a time, or 3 or 10, etc. Then beyond that, once you've chosen your models, you can then press save changes. And now if I go back to travel planner and I say at Fizz, plan a trip to Mexico, you'll now notice, first of all, that I added the agent within the channel because it wasn't in here before. And then these icons just mean that it's seeing it and now that it's thinking about it. And at the bottom, you're actually going to see the activity that it's doing. So right here, it says all different commands available, how many tokens it's using. Now I went to the terminal and it made 2 tool calls, and then it said there's no prior travel context in the channel or workspace. This is a cool start. So now let's see what it actually comes back with. So I did get a reply, and if I look at my threads here, it says on Mexico is 5 very different different countries wearing one flag. Slowly point you before I build a itinerary. When? So we are in peak hurricane season right now. That's interesting. I didn't know that. August, October is the worst on Caribbean to the Gulf Coast. During the next 8 weeks, I will steer away from Tulum and Cancun toward the Central Highlands, where rainy season just means a warm afternoon downpour. Then it clears. Okay, cool. And then it says 3 routes: culture and food, beach ruins, or Baja. Desert meat, sea whale, sharks, whale calling, and Yucatan. Interesting. So now it'll tell me what it needs. So let's say in the next 6 weeks, and then I would say budget band. Budget is 10K. Let's do friends, and I want experience. And now I just reply to its reply, and it'll look at the context of both to now come up with a new response. And now let's say, here's what's really cool about Buzz. It's not because this is not the coolest part. The coolest part is I can actually have 2 agents talking to each other. So if I go back, while this is thinking, if I go back to agents and I go to Honey, you can see here that this essentially is your Honey, a warm and thoughtful communicator, help user, write clearly, organize ideas, brainstorm, summarize, or prepare for conversations. So here's what's cool about this. I can then go into this conversation and I can actually tag Honey, a different agent. I can say, hey Honey, I want you to talk to Fizz and I want you to sort of go back and forth with them until you figure out an entire itinerary, knowing my budget. Don't take the first option that's given to you because that's usually the easiest one. I really want to get an experience I will never forget. Now, I added Honey to the conversation. I told it I want to go back and forth. And you will see that these agents will now go back and forth until they come up to a shared understanding. Now, this is obviously helpful for travel planning. However, think of it like if you're doing script writing or have different ideas on how to approach a specific business issue, you can have 2 experts in their own fields, duke it out, and then you just get to see the final result of whatever solution they came up with. And this is probably one of the easier parts about Buzz. While yes, you could do this with other systems before, I haven't seen a system that made it this easy to do. And that's part of the reason why I use it so much, because it's just so easy to use and it's free. So now I'm gonna let them sort of duke it out for a little bit and I'll come back as soon as they're done. All right, and after about 10-15 minutes, this is without back. So it says the coast answer, your premise is backwards 2026 euro to pick hurricane season for this year. Okay, the beach is time locked by law. Interesting. So he says the sharks in Grio, 12 days, September 6th, September 17. I'm gonna want cutting the Sierra. Interesting. Cut it, say so out loud. So now what it looks like is that 4 people, $10,000, flights excluded, that is $2,000 per person on the ground for 12 days. Lodging, good places, but 4 ways. Food, eating generally well, total between 2.5 and 3,000. So yeah, so it seemed like the biggest issues were the dates. But it's kind of cool to find that I could have these 2 agents sort of duke it out and figure out what was the best approach for this. Now I can have a 3rd agent, I got a 4th, as many agents as I want, and I can keep this loop going as much as I want. I find these as much easier ways to use loops than trying to like prompt Claude to just loop itself. And on that note, that's essentially a starting point on how to use Buzz. You use it the same way you use Claude Code. You know, use this MCP, download this connector, exact same thing. It's super easy to use. I've been using it a lot these last few days. I'm gonna make a bunch more videos about it because I believe it is the most intuitive way of using agents. On that note, thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions or any specific use cases you want me to cover, let me know. Otherwise, subscribe and I'll see you in the next video.